with the question of Scottish independence very much on the political agenda. The very idea of a unified British state is in question, and with it, the notion of a shared British identity. But the rise of nationalism is one in a long line of problems to beset modern Britain. The ongoing issue of industrial and economic decline has troubled both statesmen and political commentators. The winding up of its empire so quickly after the end of the Second World War brought an end to Britain's claim to be the dominant global power. Many anticipated that Britain would have to take its place as a part of a greater Europe, accepting the associated loss of sovereignty as the price paid for securing the country's future prosperity. These external questions about Britain's place in the wider world have been accompanied by fears about social fragmentation at home. Post-war immigration, bringing with it a diversity of language, religion and custom, and the creation of Britain's multicultural society, was accompanied by a rise in political organisations with a distinctively anti-immigrant agenda. The radicalisation of young British Muslims and the emergence of homegrown terrorism at the turn of the century seemed to critics to demonstrate the failure of so-called state-sponsored multiculturalism. This, so it was claimed, was a terrible manifestation of a wider failure to integrate immigrants and their descendants into the British way of life. Responses to this set of sometimes interlocking problems have called for a strengthening of a collective sense of national identity. If the British could only discover or rediscover who they are, so the argument goes, the newfound confidence and unity that would follow would help them overcome the problems of the present. It has been a recurring theme for those from both the political left and right to talk about history teaching, or a particular kind of history teaching, as a vital part of putting Britain back on the right track. Whether what is sought is a positive articulation of common values or a restoring of pride in one's country, school history has been seen as the vehicle for the transmission of a longer British narrative, a continuous, evolving, and often glorious national story. But does the study of the British past reveal an easily understood national narrative, one which, when grasped, would bring the people of this island together? Does history provide us with answers to the complex problems of British identity in the present? Was there an earlier, simpler time when Britons collectively knew who they were and what they stood for? This series of films explores the ways in which the people who have inhabited this island have tried to make sense of a British identity, and how these national ideas have been shaped by and adapted to fit a changing world. But it also seeks to address a perhaps more important question: whether the teaching of history in schools can and should be used to instill in young people a sense of national identity.